Design isn't just logos, posters, and covers. Visual design is also planning much larger, more complex communication projects. This program book is more than just the tasteful arrangement of images and text. It required planning a typographic hierarchy to organize complex material in an easily understood manner. It also required a clear visual organization of a complex event calendar and a complicated registration form. Designing communication, planning how information can be best understood, sometimes requires organizing matter in tables. Tables or tabular matter may be organized using two techniques in InDesign. The first and simplest is the tab function, using the tab key to position text at tab stops, where the tabular matter is aligned based on one of four tab alignments. The second is better for more complex arrangements. This is the table function. Let's look at some examples. This is the event calendar for a health conference. It covers several days and several different kinds of seminars or symposia. The different types of seminars are categorized by color, and there's a table to show what the colors mean. A subheading in a blue bar indicates the day for each part of the conference, and it's divided into hours. The registration form also has a lot of complicated matter to be organized. The person registering has to fill out their name and address and other personal information, and then select from a variety of lectures or seminars. To organize the seminars in a way that they can be understood by day and also by hour requires complex division of the spaces within the table. In this investor's report, there's a table of contents. This is a 40-page document, and people like to know where to find things within the document. The table uses a dot leader to guide the eye from one side of the table to the other. This is an investor's report, so it also has financial information, which is tabular matter, numbers that are organized in tabs or a table set up in tabs, and these are decimal aligned tabs because in financial matter, you always want the decimal places in the column of numbers to line up. This table of contents is a table using only one tab stop. The page numbers in the table could be forced to the right with something called a right indent tab or shift plus the tab key. This jumps the text to a right indent, or in the absence of an indent, to the right margin. You would find that in the type pull down under insert special character, other, right indent tab or shift tab. This is in preview mode, so I'll get out of preview mode so you can see my guides and my hidden characters. And here's my tab character. If I select all of the text in the table, and you always want to do that when you're making tables because you want to make sure that any tabs or tab stops that you apply to the entire table and not on a line by line basis. If you did it line by line, you might end up accidentally putting one in a different place. For example, Command-Shift-T tab setup. If this one happened to be a little bit over, or if I had one here, and if my dot leader had different spacing, I'm going to end up like something like this on one line. That's a bit exaggerated. So with the entire table selected, I added a right aligned tab stop at the right margin. And where it says leader, I like mine a little loose, so I put space, 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 period, or dot, or stop. Hit the tab key while I'm in the tab setup, and that will accept that setting and jump me to this other window. That's okay. So that's how a simple table can be created, a table of contents where you want items on the left side, page numbers on the right side, and a dot leader to lead the reader's eye across to make it easy for the reader to read, help him navigate the page. On these financial pages, Text is again organized in a manner that's easy to read, and everything must be in the same set of tabs. Command-Shift-T. Here you see two decimal line tab stops, and we use decimal line tab stops with numbers to make sure that the decimal columns always line up correctly. I do have one left-aligned tab here, but the design was changed so that nothing was actually indented. I think I probably left that in case the client changed their mind again. So that's a simple financial table. Sometimes financial tables have many more columns. This one just has the current year and the previous year. This reply card has spaces for the attendee to put their name, address, and phone number and email, and some checkboxes at the bottom. This was set up with a paragraph rule above, Command Option J, applied to each of the items that need to be filled in. This is a 0.75 point thickness rule, 7 points offset to place it slightly above the text. Without that, the 0 offset, it would be at the baseline. So it's offset 7 points to get it 7 points above the baseline. These checkboxes at the bottom don't use a tab setup at all. They are just evenly spaced by placing a fixed space between each of the campus locations and its checkbox, and then force justifying. Here it is with no fixed spaces, and this is force justify all lines. If this was justify last line left, of course it would be that way. Centered would be that way, but force it this way so it forces a single line to justify. And then between each checkbox and each location in the type pull down, I'm looking for a white space that is a fixed width non-breaking space. I don't have a keyboard shortcut for that, unfortunately. I use this non-breaking space control Alt X or Command Option X quite often when I'm controlling paragraphs, but this requires a fixed width non-breaking space for which there is no shortcut. So I'll just type that in there. But once that's in there, I'll Command C copy and place it here in place of that adjustable space, and here, and here, and also between junior and high. And that gives me even spacing between each of those objects without having to set up tabs. And here you can see, since this is a justified paragraph, I use the right indent tab character. This is what it looks like as a hidden character. To jump to the end, use a soft return, so I keep this as a single paragraph. That allows me to control these all as separate paragraphs of 9 on 10 Minion Pro text with a space below of 4 points to give them a bit of separation and help visually organize them. For this reply card, where I needed to place more than one item on the same line, I use tabs. If I select all of this and Command-Shift-T, look at where my tab stops are. For these lines, there's an underscore applied to the tab stops. And for these lines, using the right indent tab character or Shift Tab, there's an indent applied to that character. And because that causes it to jump all the way across, it applies the underline all the way across the form. Table exercises for this course will show you the basics of creating simple tables using both the tab key and the table function method. The schedule for this program guide was set up as a table using the table function. That's the table pull down at the top of your screen in InDesign. The table function allows you to do things that are much more complicated than a simple tab setup. For instance, having lots of text as an item in the table. With a tab setup, I would have to keep doing this stuff all the way across for each line. Here I can have 4 lines of text in here that is centered. I can have 3 lines here and they can be centered visually across, or I could select all of these and Command Option B, cell options, align all of these to the top or the bottom, or vertically justify them. I like this one centered. If we look at the registration form, which is even more complicated, you can see that some of these have been divided or combined in different ways. If I just grab this dividing line here and pull on it, you can see where all the cells actually are. But these cells have been combined to make a larger cell. If I right click on this and unmerge cells, you can see there's actually 6 cells here. But they were selected this way, right click and merge cells to create a single cell so that the reader knows that from 8:30 to 10 a.m. they could take classes number 2200 or 2201, and from 10:30 to 12 they could be in 2205, or they could be in 2202 or 2203 or 2204 from 8:30 until 12 noon. Here's a cell, which if I unmerge this, you can see that it's a whole lot of cells corresponding to the number of columns here and the number of rows on the left here. And if I merge cells, I get one big cell that allows me to put all that other data in there, that other text. Within a cell, I can have a tab set up. Command Shift T, you can see that there are tabs for how this stuff is arranged in the cell. There's a right align stop here so that the hours line up, and then there are left align stops for these conference numbers or course numbers to have them neatly lined up in columns. You won't have to do anything this complicated, at least not in this class, but I'll give you the fundamentals of how to do this kind of work so that someday you would be able to tackle a project like this.